Both Gita literally means the Lord song, that is the philosophical discourse of Lord Krishna, to persuade the reluctant Arjun to fight. It is the most popular and sacred book of the Hindus and is contained in the Bhisma Parv of the Mahabharata, the greatest Sanskrit epic. Various are the praises showered on this work both by Indian and European scholars. Lokmanya Tilak calls it a most luminous and priceless gem which gives peace to afflicted souls and makes us masters of spiritual wisdom. Mahamana Malvi sees a unique synthesis of the highest knowledge, the purest love, and the most luminous action in it. Mahatma Gandhi calls it the universal mother, whose door is wide open to anyone who knocks and the further says that a true votary of the Gita does not know what disappointment is. He ever dwells in perennial joy and peace that passes understanding. The Gita deals with metaphysics, religion, and ethics, and has been rightly called the gospel of humanity. The central teaching of the Gita can be beautifully summarized in this sentence of any Besant. It is meant to lift the aspirant from the lower levels of renunciation, where objects are renounced, to the loftier heights where desires are dead, and where the yogi dwells in calm and ceaseless contemplation, while his body and mind are actively employed in discharging the duties that fall to his lot in life. The Gita tries to build up a philosophy of karma based on Gyan and supported by Bhakti in a beautiful manner. In the beginning, we find Arjun horrified at the thought that he has to fight with his relatives and friends, and he says to Krishna that he can foresee no advantage in killing relatives, and he flatly refuses to fight. I would not like to kill these, even though I may be killed by them. Krishna then proceeds to instruct him that it is his duty as a prince, as a warrior, as a righteous man to fight against evil and restore peace and order. Some people have tried to read in the Gita's cult of murder, but this simply shows to what extent a noble work can be misinterpreted. To fight against evil is the duty of man. To make the situation poignant, relatives and beloved friends and revered elders stand on both sides, and Arjun has to vindicate his claim. He has to follow his Swabhav and Swadharma. It is a significant fact that though Lord Krishna in the beginning repeatedly asks Arjun to fight, in the end, when the teaching has been imparted to him, the Lord simply says, "Do as you please." The fundamental metaphysical teaching of the Gita is that of the unreal there is no being, and of the real there is no non-being. The soul is indestructible, eternal, unborn, undiminishing, all-pervasive, immovable, ancient, unmanifest, unthinkable, and immutable. Only bodies are destroyed, not the soul. It is neither born nor die, nor does it die. It is immortal and everlasting, not being subjected to birth and death. It cannot perish along with the body, just as a person casts off worn-out garments and puts on the new ones, so does the soul cast off worn-out bodies and enters into others that are new. The infinite underlies and animates all finite existences, and the soul, being essentially one with it, is not affected by birth and death, by growth and decay, by finitude or change. Even though our body be dust returning unto dust, he who sees the ultimate reality seated equally in all beings and unperishing within the perishing sees truly. The Gita represents a unique synthesis of action, devotion, and knowledge. Man is a complex of intellect, will, and emotion. He is a being who thinks, wills, and feels. Intellect has given rise to the philosophy of knowledge. Will to the philosophy of action and emotion to the philosophy of devotion. Modern psychology teaches us that these three aspects of mind are distinguishable only in thought and not divisible in reality. There is no watertight division separating one from the rest. The teaching of the Gita is in keeping with this view. To quote Dr. Sarpalli Radhakrishnan, the absolute reveals itself to those seeking for the knowledge as the eternal light, clear and radiant as the sun at noonday. To those struggling for virtue as the eternal righteousness, steadfast and impartial, and to those emotionally inclined as eternal love and beauty of holiness. Different people attain the same goal of salvation by these three different parts of knowledge, action, and devotion. All these three ultimately stand synthesized. This synthesis is called yoga. The literal meaning of the word is union, that is, the individual with the absolute. It means in equanimity or balance of mind. It means the higher perspective of action which comes through detachment. The yogi is the ideal ascetic who copes his passions and maintains calmness in cold and heat, in joy and sorrow, in honor and dishonor. As a lamp flickers not in a windless place, that is the simile for the yogi who cups his thoughts and yields himself entirely to absorption. We find the following beautiful description of the yoga, where seeing the self by self, one is satisfied in oneself, where one experiences the absolute bliss known only a higher region, but ever beyond the senses, and standing where one swerves not from the truth, where no other gain is considered greater, and where one is not moved by the greatest pain. That state free from misery is yoga. A yogi is a sthiti prajna, one firmly rooted in higher region and unmoved by the pairs of opposites. He attains to the highest state of Brahma, where he is never bewildered and from which he never falls down.